Chapter 8 What About Us? Raymond Dart discovered the first Australopithecus africanus in 1924. He wanted to convince scientists that this was a human ancestor. Australopithecus means southern ape. Australo is a Latin word that means southern, while pithecus means ape. Some characteristics of the Australopithecus africanus is that it had a brain averaging approximately 480 cubic centimeters. It had human-like and ape-like structures, as well as a round cranium housing a larger brain and smaller teeth. There were also long arms and a strong sloped face, as well as a pelvis that was compared to one of a human's. It was for 2 legs in order to walk. Fossils are a good way to depict whether we have ancestors or not. Without fossils, we can't figure out our place on the tree of evolution. Primates, apes, lemurs all share characteristic traits with us, including color vision, forward-facing eyes followed by opposable thumbs. Molecular data and DNA protein synthesis can confirm the relativeness of the various similarities. Hominin sahelanthropus. Michael Brennett and his team were certain that they found the oldest possible hominin. The date was probably the most interesting thing about it. It was 6 to 7 million years ago. This could possibly mean that it could be the oldest and closest earliest human ancestor. There was possibly a side branch that went extinct. The characteristics included a complete skull and a cranium that housed a small brain. Homo sapiens elbowed out every other hominin. There were 2 theories to this, multi-regional and out of Africa. Multi-regional proposes evolutionary replacement, for example Homo erectus and Homo sapiens. Natural selection was acting the same way in Asia, Europe, and Africa. The second method, out of Africa. The modern Homo sapiens originated in Africa and spread throughout. The genetic and fossil evidence supports this theory.
Our genetic heritage, humanness genes, have become almost a holy grail in evolutionary biology. The study has shown that protein sequences taken from human and chimps, they are different in 1% average. There's a difference between human and chimps. A human has 1,400 novel genes has been expressed. There have numbers of copies of genes, but in chimps, it's only a single copy of gene. So the difference results in natural selection, genetic divergence between human and chimps. The change not only in protein produced by genes, also in presence and absence by the genes. So the number of copies in human and chimps, and when and where the genes can express during the development also. The sticky question of the race. The difference in human race shows that populations were geographically separate for a long time in order for the genetic divergence to occur. Secondly, race shows the difference in phenotypes such as skin colors, hairs, and eyes, because we have like a white, black, and Asians, all different kind of race. But we still share the same alleles, just in different frequencies, such as the blood type like ABO. Like a blood type ABO, which is like 3 different kind of alleles. And in human populations, we present in different frequency, different types, such as 50% of Japanese has like O alleles, and 64% of Finns has like O alleles, and due to the genetic difference, which shows the different alleles in different frequencies. And third, adaptations, gene, culture, coevolution, and sexual selection play a role in genetic variance, but in general, the genetic variance or change in human are minor. Lastly, I'm going to talk about what about now. In nowadays, selection may not produce a major difference, but it did produce a difference in population with ethnic groups, because due to the geographic area, which shows the divergence differ. Secondly, genes can affect by culture change, so we can be more adapted to our environment in order to create a new type of selection. Lastly, like all other species, we're not the end of the product in evolution, but in progress. But the progress in a human might be slow, but the mark of our heritage still betray us.
Chapter 9 in Jerry Coyne's book is called Why Evolution is True. In this chapter, Coyne says, although some people are still not convinced with the theory of evolution, there is still a lot of evidence that does support it. For example, the fossil record, biogeography, embryology, and subatomic design. But with evolutionary biology, you can also make predictions. The predictions were where fossils may be found, when common ancestors would appear in lineages, and how these ancestors may look before these fossils were even found. Organisms evolved and would split lineages into different species, but all of them had a common ancestor. The major biologists agree on the major claims of evolutionary theory, but they don't all agree on the little details on how evolution happened or what roles of evolutionary mechanisms are. Many people require more than evidence to believe in evolution. They need more evidence because it raises questions in their moral ethics and questions of purpose on how they may have been raised, which could be controversy for them. Nancy Pearcey, an American philosopher, argues that evolution has two worldviews. There's naturalism and materialism. Naturalism is the view that the only way to understand the universe is by scientific method, while materialism is the idea that only reality is the physical matter of the universe, and everything else, such as thoughts, emotions, will, they all come from physical laws that act on that matter. Evolution is thought to be a naturalistic materialism. People manage to understand the world fine using reason and materialism. Although evolution can't tell us what to do or how to behave, but it can shed some light on if our morality is constrained by our genetics. A common belief is if we evolved from mammals, there's nothing that can prevent us from acting like beasts because of our ancestry. But human behavior can also have evolutionary explanations. All human societies seem to recognize some human universals. Decorative art, fashion, dance, music, literature, these all distinguish us humans from other animals, which could be human nature. An evolutionarist, Richard Dawkins, wrote a book called The Selfish Gene. In the book, he explains the selfish gene is simply a metaphor for how natural selection works. Although genes act as if they're selfish molecules to produce better adaptations and try to battle with other genes for future existence, there is also a scientific literature on how evolution can favor genes that lead to cooperation, altruism, and morality. So the example is like, although our forebears may not have been entirely beastie, because with the variety of animals in the jungles and the forests, many of them live in complex and cooperative societies that don't seem as lawless as many people expect. So since certain parts of our behavior may be genetically encoded, our genes aren't destiny. Environmental factors can affect the expression of genes. Kindness and altruism are acts that are made on the amount of choices, but not because of the genes that the individual may have. A big misconception on accepting evolution is some people believe that somehow it'll wreak havoc to society and our morality, and then people behave like beasts. But that wouldn't happen because, as you can see, many European countries have embraced evolution, but are still remain just as civilized as before. Jerry Coyne also says what he tried to show the two things evolution is you can make of it is that it's simple and marvelous. And since humans on the tree of evolution are still just a tiny twig, over the years we have learned how to improve our lives and how to survive diseases, discomfort, and we know how to search for food now. We know how to fly above mountains, swim in the depths of the ocean, travel to different planets. With our types of minds, even though we may not have been on the tree evolutionary for very long, we have learned on how we have became and how we came to be.